Merry Christmas to everybody. Like most book nerds, one of my favorite things about Christmas is getting books as gifts from family and friends for Christmas. And this year I was really blessed to get a great book call from my friends and family, so I thought I'd share that with the viewers of this channel. So let's get straight to it. First up, you have The Kill Order by James Dashner. This is the prequel to the Maze Runner series. I got this as a gift from one of my friends. Me and the friend are both huge fans of the Maze Runner series. For some reason, I really hadn't heard there was going to be a prequel, so I was very excited to get this as a gift. I'm typically more of a fan of prequels than most people because I love to get into the background of stories, especially ones that are set in, interesting societies like the Maze Runner is. I always like to know the background of, why this happened, how this came about, and so I'm really looking forward to this prequel, The Kill Order by James Dashner. Next up, this is a book that 99.9% of the people that are viewing this channel really won't care about, but I'm really into history, but I'm also really into local history. So a local author in the county I live wrote this book, The Glory Days of WCHK, and WCHK was the radio station in the county I live in. That for a long time that was everybody's sources of news, and pretty much anywhere you lived in the United States, and I'm sure around the world, before TV became really big, especially news and all the major radio stations, every little town and community had their really own radio station where they give them basic stuff, the scores from local high school sporting events, wedding announcements, funeral announcements, any local news, what new stores had opened up in your town, what events were coming up, is there a parade, is there a community concert, stuff like that. And in the county I live in, WCHK was that radio station. So this author who very much an expert in local history wrote this book about this radio station. So somebody that's really interested in the roots of the community I live in. My family's lived here since the 1840s, so I have a real deep connection to where I live. I always enjoy reading history books about the area I grew up in. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book. And I encourage you, if you're into history and you've never really took the time to read some history books that are very focused on the city or the county or the region you grew up in or you live in now, delve into it, because I've always found you have a much more greater appreciation for where you live once you learn a little bit more about the history of the area. So that's my little soapbox historical rant. So let's get back to the book call. Next up is The United States of Atlantis by Harry Turtledove, one of my favorite authors. I've actually read this book before. The only reason I asked for it, I am very obsessive compulsive about this. If I have a series of books and I have the first several books in paperback, I want all the books to be in paperback. Or if I have them all in hardback, I want them all in hardback. And for some reason, in this trilogy, this was the only book I had in hardback. So I let a couple people know, I'd really love to get this book in paperback because it was driving me crazy to have a hardback on my bookcase with 2 paperbacks in the series. So this will allow me to have 3 paperbacks in the Atlantis series. So I'm not even sure if I'll actually reread this book, so this book might just exist just so it looks good on my bookcase. But I love Harry Turtledove, and this is a great series, so I'm very excited now that I have all 3 books in the series in paperback. Next up is All Clear by Connie Willis. This is a very interesting book. It's one of those I happened to get the first book in this 2-book series for the bookstore just because it sounded interesting. And one of the reasons I got it, it didn't really sound like it was part of a series. I thought it was a standalone book, and I really wasn't looking to start a series. But then when I got about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, oh, there's no way the author's wrapping up this storyline. And right at the end, there's one little page where it makes clear this is book 1 of a 2-book series, which didn't upset me too much because a 2-book series, no big deal. I really just wasn't looking to get into another 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 book series. There's several series like that I'm currently reading, and I just wanted a good standalone book. So didn't get quite a standalone book, but a 2-book series is not that big deal. I really enjoyed the first book. It's an alternate history book where time travel is real and historians are sent back to historic events to study them. And in this 2-book series, the historians are sent back to the Blitz of London during World War II, and suddenly things start to go wrong with the time travel, and the laws of time travel start to break down. So it's kind of interesting alternate history / time travel / science fiction. The characters are really interesting. So I really enjoyed the first book in the series, so I'm very excited to finish the storyline in All Clear by Connie Willis. Next up, another one of my favorite authors, Ken Follett, Winter in the World. It's the second book of his Century trilogy. Really enjoyed the first book in this trilogy. I thought the first book was a little too long, and since this book also weighs about a ton, and let me see how many pages it is, 937. So this is a really long book, so hopefully this one will read a lot better than the first one. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first book. I just thought he could have cut about 25% of the pages out of it, and the story would have just been as good. I've read huge books in the past by Ken Follett that are really long, that I didn't feel like were too long. I just felt like that first book he made a little bit longer than it really needed to be. So hopefully I'll enjoy this one a little bit more than I did the first one. Like I said, Ken Follett's one of my favorite authors. One of my favorite books of all time is The Pillars of the Earth. So hopefully I'll enjoy Winter of the World as much as I did Pillars of the Earth. And the last book I got this Christmas was Goliath by Westerfeld. It's the last book in the Leviathan trilogy. Sorry, I always have a hard time saying the name of the trilogy. And as I mentioned earlier with the book series, you saw most of the books I got were all part of the series. Of all the series I've been reading recently, this is one I've probably been the most into, so I was very excited to finally get the last book in the trilogy. It's a very interesting mix of alternate history, steampunk. It's just a great book. Really enjoyed it. It takes a very interesting perspective of World War I, which I kind of enjoyed that because a lot of alternate history books are often set in World War II. You don't really see World War I covered that much. It's just not as quite as big of a storyline that's covered in, I think, any aspects of literature. So it's kind of interesting to see World War I covered in this series. Like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. As a history buff, I kind of enjoyed the historical aspect of it. But the storyline, the characters, all that stuff is great. So even without the history, I thought this trilogy has been really great. So I'm really excited about this one. I'd say probably of all these books, this is probably the one I'm the most excited about. Sorry, I had to look down and quickly judge which one I was the most excited to read, but I have to say this is probably the one I'm most excited to read. So that's my Christmas book call. Let me know in the comment section below what books you got for Christmas and which one you're the most excited to read. And if you have any questions about any of these books, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and once I read them, I'll kind of give you my viewpoints on them and let you know on what I think about them. If you have any questions about the series that these are a part of, feel free to ask me in the comment section below. Like I said, hope everybody had a great Christmas. Hope you got everything you wanted to. Hopefully you were a good book nerd this year and Santa put you on the nice list and brought everything. If you are a naughty book nerd, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. Although, feel free to leave in the comment section below why you are a naughty book nerd. If it's a little too adult, private message me. Don't leave it in the comment section. I'd hate to get you in trouble. But anyway, like I said, hope everybody has a great Christmas. Hope you enjoyed my book call this year, and I'll see you the next time. Merry Christmas.